Hello, how's your day? We're almost at the end of the semester and we're dealing with one of my very favorite topics from this last week, and that has to do with children and children's services. The question that you were asked had to do with psychosocial rehabilitation and children. And I want to talk a little bit about that. And I'm amazed at the good research that most of you did on this question. But let me just say to you that psychosocial rehabilitation is easier to see and to look at it with children than it is with adults, because under PL 94-142, which was the Law of the Handicapped from 1972, and then the reauthorization that came about in the 1990s, and under IDEA, which is the new authorization for the Law of the Handicapped, there are a lot more up-to-date rules that you need to know about dealing with children, particularly children who have some sort of disability, either physical or mental. As you look at the answer that I was looking for from you, I would say that in Stanislaus County, that the lead agencies dealing with children happen to be Valley Mountain Regional Center, which serves San Joaquin County, Calaveras, Tuolumne. I believe Mono County is included in our area, and Stanislaus. And for you who are MJC students, our center is right across the street on Blue Gum, right across from MJC. That agency, excuse me, begins seeing children as early as birth or before birth, because many times you know that a child genetically has some things that are going to cause them some disabilities for the rest of their life that have to be dealt with. And this is where it starts, educating both the parents and educating the community and the child on those services that are going to benefit them and allow them to function. So I ask you to take a look at agencies like that. There are agencies all over the United States that are funded by the federal government. It's just that in our particular area, it's called Valley Mountain. And I can't tell you what it is in Sacramento or in Merced County and Fresno County, but you certainly can look it up. The other agency is the County Office of Education. So Stanislaus County Office of Education in Stanislaus County is certainly a key agency in starting the referral process for working with children on anything educational, mental, or whatever, because they are the lead agency in establishing an IEPT, which is the Individual Educational Plan Team. And that's the group of people who work on setting up how to make the child functional in school and in society. And that's exactly what we do in psychosocial rehabilitation for adults. So if you look at the pattern established by the schools, it gives you a really good way of looking about how a team approach can help you get services. For children, if you as a parent want to go get services for your child, you certainly can from a private provider, but you're going to pay for it. If you have an IEP where the team makes the recommendation that becomes a legal binding plan for the child's life, then the funding begins with that process using federal funds. The funds come through the state, so they're not really state funds, but they're federal funds that are funneled through the state. So you need to look at that as a resource. I also would tell you that if you like working with children, that you would probably do well to look at agencies like Valley Mountain Regional Center, which hires people with the majors that many of you are, whether it's an MFT, LCSW, somebody who is getting a certificate in psychosocial rehabilitation, or whatever. Those are jobs that can be had working in these agencies. There are agencies in schools and aid positions that work in special education classrooms that also, are good places to work with children, and you don't have to go on to school to get a degree other than maybe just your 2-year degree. It requires a minimum of 40 units to be an aide. But understand that special education doesn't mean that you're mentally retarded specifically. If that's just one of the things that's treated under special education. It could be a classroom for the blind, a classroom for the deaf, a classroom for the emotionally disturbed. There are group homes for children many times who are ED, and there certainly are non-public schools. Stanislaus County probably has the highest number of non-public schools, which is simply a public school that you don't get to choose to go to. And it serves children who are on an IEP for them to be able to attend those schools. And you don't choose it. It's the schools that you attend recommend that you be sent to one of these schools to attend. Good places to work if this is the kind of job that you want to have. I just thought I'd mention that for some of you who will be looking for employment. And some of those jobs can be had without having a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. But certainly school psychologists, school social workers, those kinds of jobs that do require 4-year plus degrees are something that some of you might be interested in. But you had great answers. Those of you who did look up IDEA certainly understand that those services are provided. But the beauty for parents is that they're getting all kinds of professional help for their child that's very specialized, and they don't have to come up with the funding through insurance or whatever to pay for it. And I think as students that you need to know that this very process is something that will make you look and see what is it that we do with kids to try to help them become successful so that they can function when they leave school. And what's out there for them, and where does it begin? They usually are not just dumped out the door, at least we hope not, but oftentimes that happens too, as you well know. Anyway, thank you for your good answers and your sensitivity to the topic. I think it's a whole different field than most of you come into education looking at that as a career, because you don't know it's there. But there are programs that do nothing but just work with kids who are autistic. And every county has their own set of those programs. There is not a lot other than Devereaux as a private school in Santa Barbara County where you can go and find a whole lot of these things that you didn't even know existed. Like kids who will even eat food out of the jelly wrappers and suck the jelly out, or eat sugar packets, or those kinds of things. Those are certainly diseases that kids have that they're put places for. And in the first place I saw some of those kids happen to be in Santa Barbara at Devereaux, because I had a daughter who actually worked there. My experience has been through the penal system, State School for Delinquent Girls in Oregon, and the California Youth Authority. The majority of students, particularly in the Youth Authority, are students who are on an active IEP when you get them. They are kids who've already been found to have some sort of disability, most of them being ED kids. There are a lot of other things that go into special education that can make a person act like they're completely out of the normal range for functioning well in society. And you have to kind of be there to see it, to understand. You put them all in one place, it's what causes you to have a lot of doubts about the sanity of society as a whole. But someplace these kids come out with such severe problems from being beaten or abused or whatever we do to them, that mental illness certainly becomes a part of their everyday life, and they do get in trouble. Not all because of their own making. And there's a fine line between what's chosen and what's just kind of offered to you as a way of survival. So if you want to look at this more, I certainly would encourage it. It's kind of my favorite area, but that's because I've spent a lot of time with it. But in terms of any of you, many of you tell me you want to work with kids. Well, this is where it starts. And so let me know if you have any questions. And thank you all for actually looking up IDEA, because that gave you the perfect answer for your question. Anyway, have a great week. Talk to you soon, I hope. And don't forget your term papers.